Hey everybody, Dave once again here at Blue Bears Games, and we're going to continue on with our Commander 2020, the Korea Commanders videos. Unboxing them, showing you guys what's in them in case you haven't seen them or you haven't been able to purchase your own just because they've been delayed on a lot of different fronts. This week's episode is Enhanced Evolution, or actually, depending on how I do it, it's either going to be this week's or today's, because I might do these 5 in a row for one whole week because there are 5. So it depends on how I feel. So today's video is Enhanced Evolution. This is the black, green, blue Commander for 2020. I'm opening this one second because I just finished my Modrotha deck, and there are some things that I could or could not change. And depending on what's in here, I may actually do a couple of swaps. Even though I did the video for it, I may do a couple of things. So let's go ahead and open it and see what's in here. Alright. And again, let's see how much of an issue I have with getting the oversized card out of here. Oh, I didn't have any problems this time. Alright, so this one's Otrimi, the Ever Playful. So we get the oversized card, we get the pamphlet in here. We get a green life counter that goes from 1 to 20 or 1 to 40 depending on what you're playing in 60 card or if you're playing Commander. They gave me another blank card, so I guess that comes with every single one, and then of course the deck. So I'll go ahead and open that, put these to the side for now, and open this bad boy up, and then we'll go over what's in the deck. They made them a little easier this year to open. Last year's, I remember, I couldn't open them. Either my ineptitude or what have you. So we go ahead and we throw this out because that's nothing. And I'll go over the 4 commanders. So again, 4 foil commanders, 2 partners, and then the main one. So the main one's supposed to be Otrimi. And Otrimi reads, Otrimi the Ever Playful. Let me zoom in. There we go. It's a black, green, blue, 3 generic for a 6/6, and it mutates for a generic, a black, a blue, and a green. It's trample. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, return target creature card with mutate from your graveyard to your hand. So I can already see where we're going here. Zaxara is a green, a blue, a black, and 1 generic for a 2/3 with Death Touch. Tap to add 2 mana of any 1 color. Whenever you cast a spell with X in its mana cost, create a 0/0 Green Hydra creature token. Then put X +1/+1 counters on it. Interesting. So that's what the big deal is. I hadn't actually read what Zaxara does, so I wanted to wait till I got my boxes. I haven't really read a lot of it except for the hype of the Fierce Guardianship. That's actually a really good commander. I really like that, and it's a shame I did Modrotha. I don't want to do 2 of the same color. I've already done that. Alright, the partners. Kazur, Ruthless Stalker, is a green and 3 generic for a 3/3. It partners with Okima, the Stalking Shadow. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. Ooh, I like that. And Okima is a black, a blue, and 1 for a 2/2. Partners obviously with Kazur. It can't be blocked, and when it leaves the battlefield, it deals X damage to target player, and you gain X life, where X is its power. So I'm looking at Kazur, I don't know what you want to say. Because whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So I'm going to do Peer and Toothy. I was originally going to do Varel of the Holcade, and then I got Peer and Toothy, so I'm thinking I'm going with that. And so that's an interesting one. Alright, so it came with an assortment of beasts that look like elk for some reason, but they're beasts. On the other side is hydras, and that's all you get for the for them. Alright, and we're going to start off with however they did it. So, up first, I'm going to divide that so it's a little easier to hold. Alright, so up first is Opulent Palace. It's the black-green blue Tri-Land before the Tri-Land came out. I'm 100% sure there's one in here. Blighted Woodland. Oh, it also, the reason why these aren't as good. So the new Triomes, I like them. They're not worth as much as I was hoping they would be. I like them because they have the 3 basic land types on them, and they also cycle in case you don't need it. Should be obvious. Alright, Blighted Woodland, it taps for a generic, and then you can pay a green and 3 generic. Actually, that taps for colorless. That's generic. Taps for 3 generic and a green, sacrifice it, and then search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them into the battlefield tapped. Command Tower, we all know what that does. Dimir Aqueduct is the comes into play tapped and return a land you control and adds a blue and black. Golgari Rot Farm is the green-black version. Mortuary Mire enters the battlefield tapped, and then it tap it to add a black, and then when it enters, you may put a creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Myriad Landscape, I mentioned, came with the previous precon. I think it comes in all 5 now. It adds a colorless, comes into play tapped, and then you can pay 2 and tap it and sacrifice it, and search your library for 2 basics and put them into play tapped. Rogue's Passage is actually pretty good in Commander. Adds a colorless, and for 4 generic, tap it. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Simic Growth Chamber is the green-blue version of the comes into play tapped and then return a land to your hand. Soaring Sea Cliff enters tapped, adds a blue, and when it enters the battlefield, target creature gains flying until end of turn. Temple of the False God adds 2 colorless if you have 5 or more lands. Dismal Backwater it comes into play tapped and you gain a life version of black-blue. Jungle Hollow is the green-black version. Thornwood Falls is the blue-green version of that. And then generic Swamps. Forests. Blah, blah, blah. Alright. Now, for the rares. And there's always a bunch of rares. Not all of them are good, but let's go ahead and make sure I got all of them before I continue. Alright, here we go. Alright, so we start off with the rares and the mythics. Souvenir Snatcher, 1 blue, 4 generic for a 4/4. It mutates for a blue and 5 generic. It's a 4/4 bird that flies. When this creature mutates, gain control of target non-creature artifact. Tidal Barracuda, 1 blue and 3 generic for a 3/4 fish. Any player may cast spells as though they had flash, and your opponent can't cast spells during your turn. Boneyard Mycodrax, 2 generic, 1 black. It's a fungus, so I'm going to have to look at this for my Slimefoot deck. Star, its power and toughness are equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard, and has Scavenge, which is a black and 4 generic. Exile this card from your graveyard and put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the power of target creature of this creature. This card's power on target creature. Okay. Deadly Rollick, 1 black, 3 generic. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost and exile target creature. I guess this is the second best of the new commander free spells. Dredge the Mire, 1 black, 3 generic. Each opponent chooses a creature in their card in their graveyard. Put those on the battlefield under your control. That's really, really good. I like that. Mind Leecher, 2 black, 4 generic. 5/5. Mutates for a black and 4 generic. It has flying. And when this creature mutates, exile the top card of each opponent's library face down. You may look at and play those cards as long as they remain exiled. Capricopian, 1 green and X for a 0/0. Goat Hydra. A Goat Hydra. I love it. It enters with X +1/+1 counters and 2 and colon, meaning that for every 2, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then you may reselect which player it is attacking. Only that player that it is attacking may activate this ability, and only during the declare attacker's step. Sawtusk Demolisher, 2 green, 4 generic for a 6/6. It mutates for a green and 3 generic. It has trample. And when this creature mutates, destroy target non-creature permanent, and its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. Manascape Refractor. I like this card a lot. I want to try to abuse this, and I'm going to try to find a way to abuse it hard. 3 to cast artifact. It enters the battlefield tapped. It has all abilities, or all activated abilities, of all lands on the battlefield. You may spend mana as though or mana of any color to pay the activation costs of Manascape Refractor's abilities. Really like that card. Really outside the box thinking. I like it a lot. Mind Spring. I actually think I have a deck that I believe it's my Scarab God deck has a draw X card spell in it. I think I'm gonna replace it with Mind Spring. It's 2 blue and X draw X cards. I think I have one in there. It's like a blue, 2 blue and 1 of any or something like that. I can't remember, but I'm gonna change it out. Deadly Tempest is 2 black, 4 generic, destroy all creatures. Each player loses life equal to the number of creatures they controlled that were destroyed this way. Profane Command, 2 black and X. Choose 2. Either target player loses X life, they return target creature card with converted mana cost X or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. You actually return target creature with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, or up to X target creatures gain fear until end of turn. Animus Awakening is a blue and X. Reveal the top X cards of your library. Put all cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order, or in a random order. Spell Mastery is if there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, you can untap those lands. Beast Whisperer, 2 green, 2 generic for a 2/3. Whenever you cast a spell, draw a card. It's an elf druid. Genesis Hydra, 2 green and X for a 0/0. When you cast a spell, reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put a non-land permanent with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield, then shuffle the rest into your library. Genesis Hydra enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters. A lot of ideas here for Pier and Toothy. Hungering Hydra. I might actually get most of my Hydras out of this. This is coming apart apparently. 1 green and X. Hungering Hydra enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters on it. It can't be blocked by more than 1 creature, and when it is dealt damage, put that many +1/+1 counters on it, and it must survive the damage to put the counters on it. Yeah, so far it looks like I'm taking a lot of stuff from here and putting it into Pier and Toothy. Masked Myers is a 3/2 for 2 green and 2 generic. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay 2 green, and if you do, return it from your graveyard to your hand. Predator Ooze is a 3 green for a 1/1 indestructible. Whenever it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and whenever a creature dealt damage by Predator Ooze this turn dies, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Vastwood Hydra, 2 green and X for a 0/0. It enters with X +1/+1 counters. When it dies, you may distribute those +1/+1 counters equal to the number of them on Vastwood Hydra among any number of creatures you control. Vorpede, 3 green and 2 for a 5/4 Vigilance Trample Insect with Undying. And what Undying means is that when it dies, it comes back into play with the +1/+1 counter on it. And only you can't do it if it has the +1/+1 counter on it already. Cold-Eyed Selkie, hybrid green-blue, 2 of them. 1 generic for a 1/1 Island Walker, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. Alright. Find and Finality. 2 generic blue-green, or black-green. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. And for a black, a green, and 4 generic, you may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature that you control. Then all creatures get -4/-4 until end of turn. Gaze of Granite. 2 black, a green, and X. Destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost X or less. Nissa, Steward of Elements. A blue, a green, and X. It comes into play with X loyalty counters. +2 is to Scry 2. Has a 0 that look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, a creature and or a creature card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of loyalty counters on Nissa, you put that card onto the battlefield. And its ultimate or -6 is untap up to 2 target lands you control. They become 5/5 elemental creatures with flying and haste until end of turn, and they're still lands. Maybe if I do that, you can read it better. Alright. Villainous Wealth I did put into Muldrotha. It's black, blue, green, X. Target opponent exiles the top X cards of their library, and you may cast any number of those spells with converted mana cost X or less from among them without paying their mana cost. Really good with Muldrotha. I love that with Muldrotha. Widwin, the Biting Gale. Black, blue, 2 of any for a 3/3 flash flyer. Pay a blue and a black and 1 life and return it to its owner's hand. Lifecrafter's Bestiary, 3 to cast artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay a green, and if you do, draw a card. Silent Arbiter is one of the reasons I wanted this precon anyway. 4 to cast for a 1/5. No more than 1 creature can attack each combat, and no more than 1 creature can block each combat. Alright, Darkwater Catacombs. Pay 1 and tap it to add a black and a blue. Endless Sands adds a colorless. Pay 2 and tap it. You can exile target creature you control, and then you can pay 4, tap it, and sacrifice it to return each creature card exiled with Endless Sands to the battlefield under its owner's control. Another Exotic Orchard, so tap it to add a color of anything your opponent controls. Llanowar Wastes, a colorless, and you can tap it to add a black-blue. It's the black-green. It's the black-green Painland, and then the black-blue Tangleland. So it's an island swamp that taps to add a black or a blue, and it comes into play tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. So that was the rare section for this deck. A lot of good choices for me for Peer and Toothy, I can see. I do have most of those cards, but I like to use the newest versions of cards just because they're, the way that they're written. Alright, and then the last, the generic lands. Alright, so islands and forests. Alright, a Bonder's Ornament came with, so far, 1 of each one. So it's the 3 to cast, add 1 mana of any color, and then you can pay 4 and tap it. Each player who controls the permanent name Bonder's Ornament draws a card. Alright. Another Arcane Signet. 2 to cast, tap, add mana of any color that is your commander's identity. And took me a second there. I had to clean the lens off. It was kind of blurry. Alright. A Soul Ring. Comes in every commander deck now. Alright. Archipelagor. 2 black, 5 of any for a 7/7. It mutates for a blue and 5 generic. Whenever this creature mutates, tap up to X target creatures, where X is the number of times this creature mutated, and those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap step. And I'm trying to see what's going on here. I can't get it to focus very well. I don't know why. Alright, well, I read it off to you. Next is Dreamtail Heron. 1 blue, 4 generic for a 3/4 flying. When this creature mutates, draw a card, and its mutate cost is a blue and 3 generic. Alright, let me see something here. Pouncing Shore Shark. 4 generic and 1 blue for a 4/3. It mutates for a blue and 3 generic. Has flash, and whenever this creature mutates, you may return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. Cavern Whisper. 1 black, 4 generic for a 4/4. Mutates for a black and 3. Has menace, and whenever this creature mutates, each opponent discards a card. Chittering Harvester is 1 black and 5 for a 4/6. Mutates for a black and 4. Whenever this creature mutates, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Insatiable Hemophage. Thank you. A black and 3 for a 3/3. Mutates for a black and 2. Has Death Touch, and whenever this creature mutates, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. As you can see, there's a theme here on the mutations of the black cards. Auspicious Starks. 1 green, 4 of any. 6/6 Elk Beast. Mutate cost is 1 green and 5. When this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile X permanents, where X is the number of times this creature is mutated, and put those onto the battlefield. Fertilid, 1 green, 2 of any, 0/0, comes into play with 2 +1/+1 counters. You can pay 1 green and 1 generic and remove a +1/+1 counter from it. Target player searches their library for a basic land card, puts it on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffles their library. Glowstone Recluse, 3 to cast 2/3, mutates for 1 and 3 of any, has reach, and whenever this creature mutates, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Migration Path, 4 to cast, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library, and you can also cycle it for 2. Migratory Greathorn, 1 green, 3 of any, for a 3/4, mutates for 1 green and 2. Whenever this creature mutates, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Boneyard Lurker, 1 black, 1 green, 2 generic for a 4/4, mutates for hybrid green-black, 2 of them, and 2 of any. When this creature mutates, return target permanent from your graveyard to your hand, so a regrowth. Trumpeting Gnar, a blue, a green, and 1, 3/3, mutates for hybrid green-blue, and 3. Whenever this creature mutates, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. Psychic Impetus was in the last, I believe it was in the last one, wasn't it? Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded, and whenever enchanted creature attacks, scry 2. The Black Impetus is Parasitic Impetus. Enchanted creature, it gets +2/+2 and is goaded, and whenever enchanted creature attacks, its controller loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. And the Green Impetus, Predatory, is 1 green, 4 generic. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and must be blocked if able and is goaded. So it has lore and is goaded. Illusory Ambusher, 1 blue, 4 of any, 4/1 flash. When it is dealt damage, draw that many cards. Mole Drifter, 2/2 for 5, flying. When it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, and it evokes for 3. Evoking means that it enters the battlefield and then dies. Propaganda, pretty good card. I put it in most blue decks for Commander. So it's a blue and 2. Enchantment, creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. The only issue I have with this card is this was made before Planeswalkers were made. So obviously it didn't matter when this was made that it doesn't affect the ability to attack your Planeswalkers. This deck doesn't seem to have all that many, so it works, but I kind of like versions of that, like Norrin's Annex, where it can't attack Planeswalkers. Shriek Maul, I put this in Muldrotha. It's a 5 to cast for 3/2. It has Fear. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature, and it evokes for a black and 1. Beast Within, destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. There's a mutate creature in here that does exactly the same thing. See a theme? Alright, Hero's Bane. 2 green, 3 generic. Hero's Bane enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it. For 2 green and 2, put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is its power. Yeah, a lot of cards that I'm probably going to be using for Pier and Toothia look like coming out of here. Including this, Kadama's Reach. 3 cast. Arcane Sorcery, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then put 1 onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, then shuffle your library. Frozen Grip, 3 to cast, instant with split second, and it destroys an artifact or enchantment. Reclamation Sage, man, there's a lot of cards in here that I was either had or put into. I had to put aside to put in or put into Muldrotha. Reclamation Sage is 3 to cast for a 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Yeah, there's a lot of cards in here that I put in Muldrotha or was going to put in. Yavimaya Druid, 2 green and 1, Farce Walk. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a Farce card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, under target player's control, and if you do, shuffle your library. Put on the battlefield tapped under target player. Okay. Interesting. Putrefy, black, green, 1 generic, destroy target artifact or creature, and it can't be regenerated. It's an instant. And last but not least, Trigon Predator. 1 green, 1 black. 1 green, 1 blue, 1 generic for a 2/3 flyer. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may destroy an artifact or enchantment that player controls. So, alright, so that is the all of the stuff that comes in the precon. It's engineered evolution. Trying to get these together. Precon for Commander 2020, the Ikoria Lair of Behemoths versions for Commander. I will be going through all this stuff later, taking some out, hoping to put together a couple other decks. So, again, same thing I do every time. Like, subscribe, share. Please help me out. I'm growing, but I'm not growing as fast as I was hoping. If you have any questions or concerns, 2 ways you can contact me. Comments in the comment section below. Go to the Facebook page. If you have a direct question, you don't want it to be public, go ahead and put it there. Anything else, just let me know. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.